Our afternoon session will now begin. We invite you to find your seats and enjoy the musical program.
Yehuwa Tuhan pengasih, Dia sayang kita semua. Bila kasih kita murni, Dia senang hati. Yesus ajar kita semua erti kasih yang sejati, menggerakkan hati kita untuk saling kasihi dengan sepenuh hati. masa yang susah kita sudi beri bantuan, jadi kawan sejati pada setiap masa. Yesus ajar kita semua erti kasih yang sejati, menggerakkan hati kita untuk saling kasihi dengan sepenuh hati.
鸟儿用歌声迎接崭新一天，美丽星辰在曙光中消失在天边，金黄色阳光从树顶洒落，微风轻轻吹拂过，在诉说什么？于是我歌唱耶和华上帝，你伟大创造多么奇妙！我仰望星空，心里充满赞叹和感动。来一起赞美歌颂耶和华，来一起赞美歌颂耶和华，歌颂上帝，歌颂上帝。大地上到处都生机勃勃，哦，从日出到日落，这一切多和谐。从山之巅直到大海的深处，哪里都能听到生命的赞歌。于是我歌唱耶和华上帝，你伟大创造多么奇妙！我仰望星空，心里充满赞叹和感动。来一起赞美歌颂耶和华，来一起赞美歌颂耶和华，歌颂上帝，歌颂上帝。闭上眼，用心感受这一切，让我更渴望爱天父伟大的造主。于是我歌唱耶和华上帝，你伟大创造多么奇妙！我仰望星空，心里充满赞叹和感动。来一起赞美歌颂耶和华，来一起赞美歌颂耶和华，来一起赞美歌颂歌颂上帝，来一起赞美歌颂歌颂上帝，来一起赞美 美，歌颂歌颂上帝，
歌颂上帝，
歌颂上帝。
We warmly welcome all in attendance, and especially any new ones who have come to hear the public Bible discourse. We invite everyone to stand and sing song number 56, entitled, Make the Truth Your Own. After the song, Brother Art Iannone will offer a prayer. Again, that's song number 56. What is the source of your beliefs? How can you ensure that your beliefs have a solid foundation? Please pay close attention as our circuit overseer, Brother Jonathan Saxon, delivers the discourse, Why Do You Believe What You Believe?
A belief is defined as a mental attitude or conviction about truth or existence of something. Many would agree that beliefs shape our understanding of the world and influences our actions and decisions. Yet none of us are born with beliefs. So why do we believe what we believe? Where do our beliefs come from? Socially, our beliefs are shaped by people around us, our family, our peers, our friends, and our community. We absorb the cultural norms, traditions, and values of those around us. Events that have a significant emotional impact in our lives can strongly influence our beliefs, sometimes more than logical reasoning or factual evidence. The media can also affect what we believe. And this is not necessarily bad. However, there's a need for caution. You see, while many teachers and authorities in specialized fields of knowledge deserve our respect, history is littered with examples of renowned teachers who were absolutely wrong. For example, Bertrand Russell said about the two science books written by Greek philosopher Aristotle, hardly a sentence can be accepted as truth in the light of modern science. And a British scientist, Lord Kelvin, said in 1895 that, and I quote, heavier than air flying machines were impossible. Now, what do we find? Airplanes weighing more than 600,000 pounds filling the skies. So what do we learn? Even people like Aristotle or Lord Kelvin, both famous scientists and philosophers, are often very wrong in their belief. So what's the point for us? A wise person does not blindly believe that something is true, simply because some authoritative teacher says that it is. Therefore, our beliefs are not proved true simply because someone else agrees with us. So, why do our beliefs matter? Well, in order for us to make good decisions, our beliefs must be true. But why? Because we make decisions based on what we believe. For example, if we believe that we are sick, we go to the doctor. If we believe that we're hungry, we eat. If we believe that our children will benefit from going to school, we send them to school, and so on. So what's the point? This means that our decisions can affect our life. It can be harmful to our lives, or it can be life savings. Let's read a principle found at Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 12. It helps us to understand this point. That's Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12. There is a way that seems right to a man, but in the end, it leads to death. So according to what we just read, people can be mistaken about what is good or bad. For example, people in history are full of who have pursued a course in which they were utterly convinced that they were right, but yet later they find out that they were completely wrong. So the point then is this: good intentions does not shield us from consequences of bad decisions. And this means we must learn to differentiate between what is truly right from what appears to be right. Yes, what you believe matters. Your beliefs about God and the Bible matters. It can greatly affect your life now and your future. Just think about it. If what the Bible teaches is true, what would that mean for you? Well, it means that you will have the most reliable guide to the best way of life now, and a reliable guide to everlasting life in the future. However, our belief based on the Bible would be misguided if the Bible were not true. What does this mean? Well, each of us should look inside of ourselves, probe our hearts, and answer this question: Am I certain that my beliefs about God and the Bible are true? If so, why? You see, there must be a solid foundation to our beliefs. Just absorbing the beliefs of others is not enough. And the point is that if you do not have a solid basis for your beliefs, your faith could be easily shaken. The question is, how can you build strong convictions? Well, there are two ways to do that. First, by gathering accurate information, but second, by reasoning on that accurate information. So let's consider three questions that are worthy of our investigation. Let's gather the information and then reason on it. You ready? Here's the first question. Is there a creator, or does all things originate by chance? Many believe that science has proved the theory of evolution to be fact, but this is wrong. It is called the theory of evolution, not the fact of evolution, for a reason. The word theory is defined as a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, but that something has yet to be proven. So evolution is a theory that science has not proven to be true. In fact, scientists don't agree on evolution. And despite decades of research, they have yet to come up with an explanation for evolution that they all can agree on. Think about this for a moment. If scientists can't agree on evolution and they're the supposed experts, are you wrong to question the theory? Some claim that everything in the universe came as a result of a random Big Bang. Well, who or what caused this Big Bang? What makes more sense? That everything came from nothing, or that everything came from something or someone? Imagine that someone told you that there was an explosion at a printing plant and that the ink, it splattered on the walls and the ceilings and formed an unabridged dictionary. Would you believe that? How much more unbelievable is it that everything in an orderly universe of billions upon billions of stars and suns came about as a result of a random Big Bang? Consider this as well. Imagine that you were walking through a forest and you discovered a beautiful log cabin. Would your first reaction be, how fascinating! The trees must have fallen in just the right way to make this house. Of course not. It's not reasonable. So why should we believe that everything in the universe just happened to come about? The point is that scientists have not proven the theory of evolution, but nor have they disproved the existence of a creator. Could it be that people that you know who believe in evolution over creation just simply accepted what others around them believe? God's word warns at Colossians chapter 2, verse 8. There it says, look out that no one takes you captive by means of the philosophy and empty deception according to human tradition, according to the elementary things of the world, and not according to Christ. So instead of being led captive by means of philosophy of men, consider the evidence of the natural world. Let's read in our Bibles Romans chapter 1 and verse 20. That's Romans chapter 1, verse 20. For his invisible qualities are clearly seen from the world's creation onward, because they are perceived by the things made, even his eternal power and godship, so that they are inexcusable. So the point is that God's creatorship and qualities are obvious in the world and universe around us. We can see it. We can experience it ourselves. And we see his wisdom in the cycles that sustain life on earth, such as the water cycle and the oxygen cycle. We see his wisdom in our own bodies. For example, your body is made up of about 100 trillion cells. Inside each of the 100 billion trillion cells is a tiny rope-like structure known as DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid. So how much information is contained in just 1 gram of DNA? Well, let's compare the storage capacity of 1 gram of DNA, which is about 1/4 of a teaspoon, with that of a compact disc or a CD. Well, a CD can store all the information contained in a dictionary. Impressive, right? However, just 1 gram of DNA can store as much information as 1 trillion CDs. So to put it another way, 1 teaspoon of dried DNA can store enough information to build 350 times as many humans as are alive today. Wow. How is that possible? Well, clearly only Jehovah God built that. So many discoveries made by scientists, it helps us to wonder and ask this question: how could people not see that creation reveals the existence of a living God? Well, here's the second question for investigation. Is the Bible inspired by God? Well, let's consider the evidence. Skeptics will just ignore scientific and other evidence that supports the authenticity and accuracy of the Bible. However, when we take time to consider the Bible's scientific and prophetic accuracy, as well as the answers it provides to life's important questions, we're left in awe. For example, regarding its scientific accuracy, consider meteorology, the formation of rain. In Job chapter 36 and verse 27 and 28, it states in part, God draws up the drops of water. They condense into rain from his mist, and then the clouds pour it down. Now, this is a description of the 3 main steps of hydrologic cycle of evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. God, the source of solar heat, draws up the drops of water by number 1, evaporation. And then by means of number 2, condensation, the uplifted water vapor forms clouds that pour water down as rain or some other form of number 3, precipitation. And since it wasn't until the 1800s that man was fully able to explain this water cycle, how could Moses, the writer of the Bible of Job, and who lived 3,000 years ago, accurately explain the water cycle? Well, 2 words: divine inspiration. Think about genetics. The Bible writer King David sang, "Your eyes saw even the embryo of me, and in your book all its parts were down in writing." And that was written 2,500 years ago. But yet it was not until the mid-1800s that Austrian botanist Gregor Mendel discovered the basic principles of genetics. And it was not until April of 2003 that researchers finished sequencing the human genome, which contains all the genetic information needed to build living human bodies. And they describe the genetic chemical code as being like a dictionary filled with words made up of the letters of an alphabet. And based on these instructions, the embryo's parts, such as the brain, heart, lung, and limbs, develop in precise sequence with perfect timing. And scientists call the genome the book of life. How did humble King David know? He was inspired by God to write these thoughts down. And the Bible also accurately predicts the future. Even the fall of individual rulerships and cities in great detail. For example, it prophesied the fall and desolation of ancient Babylon, and it would be uninhabited forever. Is this what really happened? Yes. It was destroyed in 539 BCE, and today it remains in ruins. And apparently a leader tried to rebuild it, but was killed before he could complete it. The Bible also provides satisfying answers to life's most important questions, such as, why is there so much evil and suffering in the world? Well, in God's word, the Bible, in Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 9, it says in part, man has dominated man to his harm. In Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 11, time and unexpected events overtake them all. And also in Romans chapter 5, verse 12, through one man, sin entered into the world, and death through sin. Here's another question that is answered by God's word. What happens to us when we die? In Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 5, it says, for the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing at all. And the 146th Psalm in verse 4, there it says in part, at death our very thoughts perish. So a next question that's answered by God's word, what is the meaning of life? In Genesis chapter 1 and verse 27, it says, God went on to create the man in his image. In God's image, he created him. Male and female, he created them. So God created man and woman. And in Matthew chapter 5 and verse 3, it says, happy are those conscious of their spiritual need. So here are some important questions in which God's word, it answers. But here's the third question worth investigation. Do Jehovah's Witnesses teach the truth from the Bible? Now, is this a question that you have had? If your conclusion is that the Bible is God's inspired word, then you no doubt want to follow what it says and make sure that your worship is in harmony with it. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses encourage you to use the Bible to examine their teachings. We have nothing to fear because we believe that our teachings, they harmonize with the Bible. And since it's not just what we believe that matters, but how we apply what we believe, then we invite you to examine and evaluate how the conduct of Jehovah's Witnesses agree with the Bible. Conduct such as what Jesus mentioned in John chapter 13, verse 34 and 35, which shows what would be his disciples, the quality that they would have. There it says, I'm giving you a new commandment that you love one another just as I have loved you. As you assess being in company with Jehovah's Witnesses, is this what you see as you examine and you evaluate their conduct? How about John chapter 17, verse 14, where Jesus says, they are no part of the world, just as I am no part of the world. When you associate with Jehovah's Witnesses, do you also notice that they follow the example of Jesus Christ, of being no part of the world? How about 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 15 and 16, where it says, become holy yourselves in all your conduct. You must be holy because I am holy. When you look at the conduct of Jehovah's Witnesses, do you see that it is different, clearly different from those who do not serve Jehovah? Belief is good, but it's not enough. And if you are convinced that the Bible is true and that Jehovah's Witnesses are teaching the truth, you must act on what you believe. Jesus said something very powerful in the conclusion on the Sermon on the Mount at Matthew chapter 7, verse 24 and 25. Let's consider that together. That's Matthew chapter 7, starting with verse 24. Therefore, everyone who hears these sayings of mine and does them will be like a discreet man who built his house on the rock. And the rain poured down, and the floods came, and the winds blew and lashed against that house. But it did not cave in, for it had been founded on the rock. Jesus was talking about two builders, one discreet and the other foolish. Now, the discreet man built his house on the rock. Now, how did he do that? Well, unlike the foolish builder, he dug down deep and found a solid foundation from which to build his house. What did Jesus mean by digging and building on the rock? Well, merely listening to Bible teachings and reading the Bible at home, that's like putting a house on the top of sand. No digging is required to do that. But to do or to apply Christ's teachings, it's challenging. It involves digging down deep to reach solid rock. But what is the digging? The digging really is the transformation that occurs within us. We begin to be conscious of our spiritual need. We're merciful, we're forgiving, we're mild-tempered, and so on. We stop judging. So digging has nothing to do with what our position is in the congregation, but what we do with Christ's teachings. So what will happen if you continue to do this digging, to have a fine foundation? Well, you'll be blessed by Jehovah. And how valuable is Jehovah's blessings? Well, imagine that you're walking away from a house, from your house, but as you cross the street, you notice that there's a pack of dogs that begin to follow you. Now, when you see those dogs, your heart begins to race with fear and anxiety, and you're too far from your house to run in. And all the other homes, they're gated, so all you can do is run and scream for help. But the faster you go, the closer it seems that pack of dogs is catching up to you. And just as they're about to reach you, you notice that there's a fleet of dog catchers that speed past the dogs, and they pull up between you and the dogs, ready to defend you. So now how do you feel? Well, you feel relieved. You're glad. You feel safe. And in a similar way, just like those fleet of dog catchers that come to your rescue, Jehovah is telling us that his blessings will overtake us if we put Bible-based beliefs into action. So what is it that we can do to accomplish this? Well, first, we have to apply what the Bible teaches in your life every day. In Romans chapter 12 and verse 2, it helps us to appreciate this is not something that's easy for us. It's a fight. Why? Because this system of things, this world that we live in, it's focused to mold us to its way. But we realize that we have to continue to make our minds over, to make this transformation. And we do that by applying what we learn in God's word. But number two, we want to speak about your convictions to others. You want to be able to share the truth of what you've learned in God's word with those around you as well. And ask Jehovah God to help you to be able to take a firm stand of the truth. And as you do that, with full confidence, you know that Jehovah, just like we talked about those dog catchers, he's going to bless your efforts. And as he bless your efforts, you will reap rich rewards, not only now, but also on into the grand future.
Thank you, Brother Saxon, for highlighting how we can build strong convictions based on solid evidence. Now, let us stand and sing song number 24 entitled, Come to Jehovah's Mountain. After the song, there will be some announcements, and if you wish, you may remain standing. Again, that's song number 24.